Hello, I am Abby June Richards, the founder of the CPG CFO, a fractional CFO firm that is focused exclusively on CPG brands that are emerging, better for you, innovated, heritage based. We love them all. So today I'd like to give you a little tutorial on my cash flow forecast template. This template is available on my website, thecpgcfo.com. And before I dive into the actual cash flow forecast template, I'd like to spend maybe just a minute making you a believer in cash flow forecasting. So one of your top jobs as a business owner is not to run out of money. And CPG companies are notoriously expensive to run and expensive to get to a place where they're profitable and cash flowing, right? Because we've got this concept, I won't get too deep into it here, but of the cash conversion cycle. It's the time from when you have to pay for your inventory until you get paid for your inventory, right? So you've got the time where you bought the ingredients and they're just sitting waiting to be used. You've got the time when the inventory is being processed. You've also got the time where it's in transit. You've got the time where it's sitting at the warehouse waiting to be sold. You've got the time after it's sold where it's, or after it's on a PO where it's in transit to your customer. And then once your customer is actually liable for the cost, right? You have the time of their terms, whether that's, 10 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So, that is the cash conversion cycle. It's that entire length of time from cash to cash, right? Cash out, cash in. So for that reason, it is critical that CPG brands plan for their cash needs. And this is an exercise in diligence, right? The more you do it, the more you'll understand it. But it's really important to just go ahead and start, right? So we're going to dive in. First of all, this is the summary page. When you look at this, you're going to see the 13 weeks across the top. So this is the actual date. So this is like last Friday is August 2nd. And the aqua are manual inputs. The white is coming from another sheet. So you can see here on August 2nd, we have $300,000 in the bank. We don't have anything in savings. That's all in checking. You could fill this in differently, right? We also have a cash reserve target of $100,000. We're saying we want to have $100,000 on hand just for, come what may. That's obviously flexible. You could change this. So if we change this to $200,000, that is going to update. Okay, now we've got 2 months where we're dipping into the quote unquote red, right? So this is conditional formatting. It will show you if you're going to be under this number right here. So again, 13 weeks, that's, best practice in the industry. You can do this on any cadence you like. You can do this weekly. You can do this monthly. You can also delegate it. So I would recommend getting comfortable with it before you delegate it, but you can also delegate it to your bookkeeper. Or obviously if you have a CFO, you can delegate it to them. The aqua again is manual. So theoretically credit card payments, as long as you're not bumping up against limits, they're flexible, right? You can pay what you want every month as long as you're making the minimum payment. So let's just say this month cash is getting a little tight. We know that we're going to be under that $100,000, so we're only going to pay $10,000 here. Okay, now we're not in the red anymore. The other thing is, you capital expenditures. Let's say you're going to buy a piece of equipment. Here you go. You're going to spend $300,000 on a piece of equipment. Let's also say you're going to be paying back, $5,000 in debt every week. That's just part of the template, sample data. So that's what this summary is. Now there are instructions. So this is kind of set up to be if a bookkeeper, like if you were to hand this to a bookkeeper. So it'll talk about like the client and whatnot, but you obviously, if you're doing it yourself, you are the client. So it gives a little background on the purpose. We're trying to granularly predict how much cash will be in the bank at the end of any given week and to understand when low cash will occur before it happens. The cash flow forecast aims to bring in any type of transaction that will affect cash, customer payments, vendor payments, recurring payments, debt repayments, all those types of things. So it's going to give instructions. Obviously, if there's no prior month of the cash flow forecast, as if this is your first time doing it, this step won't apply. But anytime in the future that you're doing it, you first want to review the prior month to determine any unpredicted payments or receipts. So let's look into the future and let's say that it is 9/13 and we're doing a new cash flow forecast, we're going to say, okay, well, we thought we were going to have $328,000 in the bank. Did we? Did we only have 300? But why? What did we miss? So that is the purpose of that instruction, saying like, don't use the same file every month. Go ahead and do an analysis first before you copy it to a new file. And then this is, again, aimed at like a bookkeeper, present a report of your findings. That's for, if you were to delegate this, you could ask your bookkeeper to do this and present a report to you of their findings. So first of all, we're going to change the start date on the summary tab to the most recent Friday. We've already sort of done that. Let's just say this was the week after 8/2. So we know how much money we had in the bank on 8/2. And then we kind of move forward. We input balances as of that date for checking and savings. Then let's move on to the next sheet. So we've got customer payments on terms. So that is going to be your accounts receivable. Terms just means that you gave someone time to pay, right? So we're going to say that we've got this customer and these are all set up for, these are set up to copy in the due date. So you've got your invoice number, you're going to copy all this from your accounts receivable aging detail. Let's say, for instance, in QuickBooks, if you're in QuickBooks, and you'll just copy this information in. Now, whatever date is here on your due date, it's going to pop it in here. I will say, if you want to leave off old stuff that you're really not sure if it's going to get paid, otherwise it's all going to show that it's going to get paid in the first week. You can see here, this was due on 7/31. That is actually prior to the actual date of 8/2. But it hadn't gotten paid yet, so it's going to pop it in here. So anything that is, prior to this date, it'll pop in. Then you've got your AR aging detail. Those are shipments that you actually ship to your customers, right? Like you already sold the inventory, you shipped it to them, but we know that there is more that you're going to do, right? This only goes out to 9/3, and this is supposed to be a 13-week cash flow forecast. So that only takes us out through week 5 if we're lucky. That's if we didn't have anything that would be due through the 6th. So what about these weeks? What do we do? Okay, let's go to open sales orders. So let's say that you have purchase orders from your customers. When you get a PO from your customer on your end, that's a sales order. So if you have an ERP and you've entered these POs from your customers as sales orders, but they're just not shipped yet, you'll have those here and you can fill those in. You can, so right here, this is set up to be plus 30. If you know that your net terms are different, you can change that. But this is set up to take the projected ship date and add 30 days, and then that's the amount. You could also add additional columns where, let's just say you know that all your invoices are going to get paid, short paid like 2%. So you could add an additional column here. You could say original amount, and then that's the amount to be paid. This could come over here, and then we could say times equals this times 0.98, because we're going to take off 2% and bring that down. Like, let's just say you know that you have that 2% that's coming off because you're on shorter terms, right, with your customer. You could do that. So again, this I don't know if I said it before, but this whole template can be as complex or as simple as you like, but this is just giving you some structure to start with. Again, you'll have open sales orders maybe from your ERP, but let's just say this doesn't go out far enough. Now we want to start thinking about demand planning. How much are you actually going to get in sales orders from your customers after that date, right? So I hope that's helpful. Let me know any questions on that. Then on the AP side, we've got something similar, right? We've got the inventory bills that we actually have in the system that we know we're going to have to pay. But then we also have open POs. So maybe we've provided a PO to our inventory processor or co-manufacturer, and then and we know that they're going to ship on these days, but it's not happened yet, right? So it's not AP. It's not AP in the system. So there's a projected ship date. This is going to add 30 days. Okay, here's the amount that we actually expect to pay, and it's going to waterfall out there. Same thing, demand planning. But what about after these dates? Like we only have this filled out until 11/5. What if we need to be thinking about demand planning past that date? So you can fill that in there. Recurring payments, I was pretty proud of these formulas that I came up with. So this is a little bit more difficult from a formula standpoint than just putting in the date, right? Because we're kind of just saying, well, if it's after this and before that, pop it in here. Because it's a specific day, right, that it's due. Here, this is just saying we know that it's due the 29th of every month. It's not necessarily a specific date. So we kind of have to do some more fancy, this is a much longer formula to look at this. So regardless of what you put here, it's going to pop it into the week that contains that date. So let's say, right here, it's 18,000 on the 22nd. On 8/23, that includes the 22nd, right? It's not going to put on 8/16 because the 22nd is after the 16th. But the 22nd is between the 16th and the 23rd. So here's the week ending the 23rd. It's going to pop it in here. So if I change this to the 15th, it's going to move it. So that is hopefully really helpful. This is things that you know that you're going to pay on a specific day of every month that are going to auto draft or that you know you have to pay. So fractional marketing manager, warehouse rent, different things like that. Maybe you have a weekly cleaning. $1,000 might be a bit high unless you have a huge office. So let's just say that's $100, and we know it's going to be every single week. This is a super simple formula. It's just popping this amount into every week. Then you may have some payroll and benefits if you have some employees, and you can put that in there, first half, second half. You can also do it every week, right? You could say that it's just going to be a specific amount every week. Maybe your benefits are only once a month. Those are all going to pop in there. Then you may have online sales. So here you can have, if you've been in business for longer than a year and you know that you have seasonality, and you know that there weren't any crazy spikes like you were on Oprah's favorite things, right? You don't want to predict that again. Then you can kind of just look at your year over year by the week. I'm not going to get too deep into this right here, but one thing you can look at is you can pull your GL detail from your from like QuickBooks or your accounting system, and you can pivot it, the amounts that came in from online sales, just those amounts into the bank. You can pivot it by week and group it, or by day, and then group it by week, by every 7 days. I can get deeper into that, but that wasn't the intent of this tutorial, so I won't get too crazy with those instructions. But here is we're kind of just saying like the year over year increase. What we're seeing generally is 30%. So prior year similar week, it was 23,000. This year we're going to predict 30,000. And you can also look at the previous pattern, right? Like that's kind of the idea, is that you're comparing like maybe last month of this year to last month of last year. Oh, we're selling about 30% more. Or maybe we're double and we're going to say, this is 100% more. So I hope that's helpful. There's the instructions tab. I am super excited to share this with you. I don't want to be an information hoarder. I want to help people if the information can be helpful, right? Help people, and I don't want to be involved where I'm not needed, right? So if something like this can help you and you can take it and run with it, you don't need to hire somebody like me. So that's the idea, is to help you be maybe more self-sufficient for longer, or to be able to understand your cash, right? That's the whole idea here, is to help you navigate that sort of CEO maturity curve. I like to talk about that because it's so important. So let me know if this is helpful to you. Leave a comment if you're able to, and give me some feedback. Let me know if it was helpful, or if you think that there are any changes that need to be made. Send me any questions. If you're having trouble implementing it, I would love to help you. Talk soon.